You're listening to an archived Cabral Concept podcast. After listening to this show, check out the most up-to-date podcasts available at stephencabral.com/podcasts or search directly on iTunes. And now, welcome to the Cabral Concept, where board-certified naturopath and integrative health practitioner Dr. Stephen Cabral shares how he was diagnosed at the age of 17 with a life-altering illness and given no hope for recovery. It was only after studying and traveling all over the world did he discover how to combine ancient Ayurvedic healing practices with state-of-the-art naturopathic and functional medicine to fully rebalance the body and re-energize it with life. It's time to discover how to get well, lose weight, and finally feel alive again. And now, here's your host, Dr. Stephen Cabral.
We are about to get started with our first Cabral HouseCall of the weekend, and I hope everyone had a great last week. Really looking forward myself to a little bit of rest and relaxation this week, and this week too, I just had a lot of my own private testing done, so my own private lab test, which I will definitely share in the coming Friday reviews too, but I had a brand new telomeres test done. I also had my annual lab work done, a couple months late this year, but I still had it done, of course, and as always, I'm always trying to tweak my own individual numbers, optimize them, use certain nutrition-based plans that I'm creating, always testing nutritional supplements, how they're helping my own health as well. So again, I'm always tweaking, always optimizing. You know, I like to say we know what works. We know it works, no doubt about it. But if we can use the best of functional medicine lab testing to keep tweaking, to keep optimizing, that's the great thing about using the best of Eastern-based philosophy and Ayurvedic medicine, traditional Chinese medicine, and the other forms as well. There's many, many forms. There's yogic medicine. So we can do that. But then if we can look deep inside of our own physiology and basically our biology and see how our body's functioning, and it's not static. And so I know that since it's not static, I should test my own labs every 6 months or so. And that's exactly what I do. Like once I got healthy, then I just said, okay, here's what I'm going to test this 4 to 6 months. And then here's what I'm going to test this. And that's what I do myself. I definitely try to practice what I preach. And that's why when I do these Cabral house calls on the weekend, I want you to know that I'm always optimizing my own body as well. So you're writing in with questions, a lot of questions maybe I dealt with many, many years ago in the past, but I'm seeing every day in my practice with the people that I'm caring for, that I'm trying to help. But also, you know, just keep in mind that even though I'm better, I'm feeling great, I've been on that journey, I know that it's never over, that there's always moving forward, there's always growth that can take place. And that's why I continue to read, I listen to audiobooks, I listen to podcasts, all of those great things for myself as well. So like I said, I'm the perpetual student, and what I can do and to the best of my abilities, I'm going to share a lot of that education, knowledge, background with you. And let's do it right here on the Cabral House Call. So we're getting started with our first question from Mariellen. She writes in, Dr. Cabral, you have always helped me in finding answers to my health issues, and I'm on a journey to getting better. I'm not writing it for myself. I have a friend who, for years, has had what I say are seizures. She has crashed her car before, been on vacation far from home, and had this happen. There seems to be no common factor in these episodes. She was on vacation, had a wild dream that a ton of spiders woke her up. Her fiancé found her seizuring. She always throws up after and sometimes pees herself as well. Out to dinner, she became unconscious, no seizing. And this was only one event that's happened where she has had alcohol in her system, but she literally became limp and was completely out for a minute or possibly longer and was sweating profusely and began to vomit later. We had just finished dinner and she was drinking water along with her dinner. She is a hairdresser and yesterday had mentioned she did a wedding and barely ate anything all that day. She always feels completely exhausted after. Sometimes there is seizing and sometimes there is not. No one will give her an answer. Once she had stitches taken out and had a seizure. Anything would be helpful. Thank you. In addition to my other question, just wanted to add that she smokes marijuana. In the vacation case, she hadn't smoked for 4 days and had one, and yesterday was the first day she hadn't smoked in a while. The doctors will not diagnose her with epilepsy because whatever test they ran came back negative, and they say what she has is not seizures. Any advice would help. Okay. So thank you for all this information, certainly helpful. One thing, and it's always these little things, and I always tell everybody that I'm working with, that it's always those small things that you don't know are important, always mention those. So you said she's a hairdresser. As a hairdresser, think about like a dentist, think about the amount of chemicals they're exposed to. All the different hair dyes and the straightening and all of those different products that go into that are toxic to the system and toxic to the nervous system. So I personally could not recommend a 21-day detox enough for her. I recommend the infrared sauna for her. Not too much in the beginning though, because we don't want to overwhelm her obviously delicate system. And it seems when she puts alcohol in her system, that completely overwhelms her liver, right? So I think there's some type of toxicity-based issue. Again, you can test this as well. So there's that part. But also, if she's getting benefits from marijuana, I personally can't recommend enough CBD oil. And the reason is this, is that CBD oil works on even deeper level than marijuana alone, because marijuana can actually sometimes, in some people, increase anxiety, where CBD oil is going to decrease anxiety. And it certainly seems your friend has a nervous system-based imbalance, right? We can call it a disorder, we can call it imbalance, we can call it whatever you want to call it. It doesn't matter. But when she gets overwhelmed, such as for a wedding or a big day or drinks alcohol in her body, remember, your alcohol is first a stimulant and then a depressant. So you have to look at it that way, meaning like you increase dopamine, but then the next day you're kind of wiped out. So really important, obviously, that she stays away from alcohol, that she does a 21-day detox. And what I would recommend, even more so than marijuana, is straight CBD oil. Now, we'll link up the CBD oil we recommend, which is an organic brand, so there's no pesticides. And also, I would recommend that she do a higher dose. So if she's already used to smoking marijuana, she's probably getting 50 milligrams every time she smokes marijuana. Now, she's not going to get THC with the CBD oil, so she could even use it at work. Here's the deal. 50 milligrams exactly, one full dropper. So that's what I would recommend. But again, she can start at a half dropper, which is 24.2 milligrams. Then she can work her way up from there. That's my initial recommendation. And again, no medical diagnosis on this show, just trying to be helpful and share everything that I can do from a podcast and naturopathic perspective. All right. Josie is up next. Dear Dr. Cabral, I've been listening to all of your podcasts and learning so much. I really enjoy listening. I'm currently working on improving my own health, but my mother's health is very worrisome. There are a list of her major conditions. I'm hoping you would have some idea as a place to start. She has liver issues, liver disease, colitis, Crohn's, ulcerative colitis, diverticulitis, autoimmune, hepatitis, IBD, hiatal hernia, osteoporosis. She has part of her bowels removed 7 years ago, esophageal-based issues, abdominal pain, spasms, bloating, extreme fatigue. She's on a lot of medication. She's only 58, on antibiotics for the last 2 years. Let's see what else. I'm trying to get her to drop gluten and sugar and start drinking warm water. She enjoys water with lemon, but I'd like to leave her with more. What would you think is a good place to start? Okay, Josie, this is actually pretty straightforward. Everything you named is a condition. Again, let's get rid of the liver-based issue for right now. Then look at Crohn's, colitis, ulcerative colitis, diverticulitis, autoimmune, IBD, hiatal hernia, and even osteoporosis. Everything we're looking at is a gut-based issue, right? And here's the deal. When you have a gut-based issue and you have this much leaky gut, intestinal permeability, which most likely your mom has, she's also on 2 years of antibiotics, what happens is bacteria, proteins, all these things move through your lamina propria, right through that gut wall, okay? It's like a cheesecloth, and it moves through. And unfortunately, your liver then has to work on cleansing all this blood, which is why I've never seen anything work better in the entire world and in 20 plus years of study than doing a functional medicine detox. Even if you don't want to do the Dr. Cabral detox for whatever reason, I can't recommend to you enough a true functional medicine detox, which includes nutrients that help your liver better clean your blood. There's no mystery. You're literally cleaning your blood to a much better degree by giving your liver all of the cofactors it needs to do its job. I'm not telling your liver how to do its job. Certainly not. I mean, at no point do I ever think any doctor in the world, no matter who they are, no matter how great they are, any of those things could ever heal the body. Someone in my position, what I tried to do is I know how the body works to the best of a human's vantage point because I've done the research, I've done the work, I've done the study. But again, my job is simply to give your body what it needs to do the best job it can do. I can't take the place of your body. I'm just trying to give you the nutrients that your body needs. So I can't recommend enough a 21-day Dr. Cabral detox for your mom. And then the organic acids test will show her the amount of bacterial overgrowth, yeast overgrowth. So if you're going to do that, I would run that test first before you do the detox. I would do in my opinion, the organic acids test. After that, I personally would do the 21-day Dr. Cabral detox. After that, I would begin the Candida and bacterial overgrowth protocol to get your mom's gut cleaned up. That's what I would do. That would be my recommendation to you. It comes with a whole nutrition plan. I mean, I'll choose my words carefully. Amazing results. As I answered in our Facebook group, again, everyone can go to, anyone who listens to this podcast is invited, especially the house calls, because I know that you're dedicated to your health. You go to cabralsupportgroup.com. All right. It is a Facebook group. It's completely free to join. It's a closed group because it's private. We answer private questions in there. And that's where we can get a lot of support as well. All right. We have just such a really positive community. Only positive people need apply because negative people will not be allowed to be in the group. Now you can ask for support. You can have a down day. Any of those things, we're going to be there to support you. We just asked to leave the negativity at home. All right. So Josie, that's what I would do. Organic acids test, 21-day Dr. Cabral detox, and then the Candida and bacterial overgrowth protocol. Now let's just say that's just too much for your mom to do. Okay. Understood. Just do every morning, do the Dr. Cabral daily protocol, which is your daily nutritional support shake, 22 organic fruits and vegetables, and the daily probiotic support. That's under $5 a day. It's the best thing she could do. She's also pushing out any of those poor breakfast choices as well. That's my recommendation. Okay, Kara's up next. Kara is asking, and I just like to joke around. I like to have a little fun because, natural health or just health in general can be such a serious topic. But Kara is also in the running for the longest question asked. I'm going to do my best to help her out as well. I apologize a little bit about that siren in the background. Again, this is downtown Boston, very urban around here. We have lots of traffic around this time of the day as well. So she writes in, "Hi, Dr. Cabral. First and foremost, I found your podcast a couple months ago, and I've been listening to you nonstop as I love learning about optimal health and nutrition. I value all of the hard work you do, especially because it's derived from your own struggle and quest now to serve others. Recent history," and again, I'm going to give you kind of the outline, but always go to our iTunes, or always go, which is just Cabral Concept, or always go to stephencabrel.com/podcast. Just click on today's podcast. And what you're going to be able to do is get all of the actual questions laid out. Okay. So Kara writes, "I had a cesarean 21 months ago. She had her daughter at 36 weeks, 2 days, healthy pregnancy, lost a lot of blood before delivery, 2 blood transfusions. After recovering, did a gut purge-based protocol. Had to do it at half strength because I was nursing. My husband and I did preconception work. I am now using your orthomolecular prenatal. I'm taking your daily fruit and vegetable powder, and I just started using your daily nutritional support protein. Currently, I'm still breastfeeding. Night weaned 3 months ago. Just had annual blood work done," and she goes through her blood work here, and shows she's slightly sensitive to some foods, had her COMT done, looked at her eosinophils, which are very high, and let's see what else. This is a good summary right here. Looked at her progesterone, which was slightly low, looked at her thyroid, which is overall pretty good, and her vitamin D is 53.4, thinking about having another child, but it's tricky when my cycle is irregular. What should I do to make my cycle regular? Should I stop breastfeeding now? Should I do another detox? I'm getting ready to have my husband do your 21-day detox. Good for you, Kara. Should I be concerned of parasites? Also, if I'm taking your daily nutritional support shake, do I still have to take a prenatal on those days? Thank you very much. Okay, so Kara, let's answer your questions. All right. So let's just get this out of the way first. I can't consult on a full blood work through a Dr. Cabral house call, through the house calls on the weekend. That's simply not possible. Happy to do that. And again, although my schedule is booked, I will work with anyone who truly desires to get well. It just sometimes I'm booked out 4 to 6 weeks or so. But what I recommend, like if it's an in-depth case, you really want to get in depth. Well, for something like this, if you just want to look at your blood work, it's a 30-minute consult. Very, very simple to do. Happy to do that. I do it all the time. So that's easy to do. Happy to do that. But I always answer your questions. So here's what we do about your questions. Now, you asked about vitamin D. If you're a 53.4, if it's the summertime, well, it's because that's summertime and you're getting sun. During the winter, right around November, December, I would test your vitamin D again. If you're not between that 50 and 70, well, then I would increase your vitamin D. If you're in the 40s, I would use 2,000 IUs if you're using nothing. And if you're in the 30s or below, I would use 5,000 IUs per day as an adult. Okay. So let's see. Now, if you're 53.4 and you're already taking vitamin D, well, you're at a great level. So you just keep taking what you're taking. Okay. So should you stop breastfeeding? Well, if you do stop breastfeeding, you will more normalize your cycle. Yes, because what will happen is your hormones will change, right? Your progesterone, estrogen, your levels will change. Now, so that's pretty straightforward. I typically recommend about a 12-week period of time to re-regulate and normalize those hormone levels. But I also want you to do what's best for your current child. And so you're going to decide on that. You know, the weaning process, I know that you're night weaned already, but you're doing so much. So it looks like you're just doing a great job overall. But what you'll do is some baby-led weaning as well, meaning that you'll see when they want to nurse, and you'll also do 3 main meals for them, and maybe in between meals, you'll still nurse. So you'll look at that, whole food meals versus nursing. And would I do a detox? Sure, but I would wait till you're done nursing, for sure. Now, if you're using the daily nutritional support powder, this is the last part to your question. Actually, there's 2 more parts, sorry. Then you do not need to take prenatal. Everything is contained in that. You can just finish up your prenatal, be done with it, or save it for, as long as it's not going to expire, when you get pregnant again. So just keep in mind, if you're using the daily nutritional support powder, this is why we formulate it now for children and adults. You can use it as your prenatal if you'd like. You would simply order a 200 or 400 microgram natural folate, meaning like a nature folate brand or a methylfolate brand. And that's pretty easy. We can certainly link that up in the show notes. And then, okay, so your eosinophils, something needs to be done here. So we need to figure out why are those eosinophils so high. Now, for people who don't know what eosinophils are, we're just looking at a specific white blood cell based reaction. And eosinophils that high to me are some type of allergy, potentially a parasite. Sometimes I see basophils elevated when there's a parasite as well, but you're looking at an immune-based reaction. So I'm looking at environmental allergies or I'm looking at food allergies. I would simply say, what are you eating on a daily basis? But this is very high. So eosinophils, I would say, sure, 5 or higher. I know the normal range is 0 to 7, but 5 or higher is high. When you're an 18.5, we're looking at a legitimate reaction. So if it's not environmental, I would say, well, what foods are you eating? And if you already did a panel, okay, well then you did a panel, that's fine. You might want to do a stool test, which we can link up in the notes. And the stool test would actually let you know if you do have parasites or you have some type of other bacteria that your body may be fighting against. Okay, Kara, great question, and hopefully that answered everything. Again, always happy to help more in depth should you need it, but you might already be working with a great functional medicine doctor, and keep going with them if you feel like you're getting the attention and results that you deserve. So keep up the great work. Okay, so it looks like we have another Kara up next, maybe the same person, but we'll see. Hi, Dr. Cabral. One of my largest life struggles over the last few years has been watching my 9-year-old stepson take risperidone. He was diagnosed as autistic at 13 months, which I don't even know how that's possible so young. His mother has all of the medical rights, and at 6 years old, his psychiatrist, who spends 5 minutes with him, placed him on this drug initially created for schizophrenics that's also been shown to cause type 2 diabetes in children and breast growth in boys. She did this without trying anything by the way of nutrition, genetic testing, supplementation, physical activity, or counseling. He has always seemed like a completely regular child in our care. We have tried to make the aforementioned suggestions to his mom, but she never moves forward with any of our suggestions. 6 months ago, he was retested by regional for the first time since a baby and said he's not autistic. The mother asked for more testing, which they did, and again, they deemed him not autistic and they wanted him to be moved to a regular school. He was in a school for emotionally challenged children. Since then, the mother has added him on a second medication. It's actually a blood pressure medication they're using for children with ADD. Our hands are tied and we have him only on every other weekend. His nutrition at his mom's is devoid. He has Cheerios for breakfast, processed food. Is there any supplement we can give him with the time that we have him to help? If his mom got serious about getting him off these medications, what protocol would you suggest? I worry about him so much. I've reached out to his mom several times, trying to help her understand and utilize natural modalities. In gratitude, Kara. Okay, so without a doubt, I feel for you. I actually think it's criminal. I honestly do. I think it's criminal how we do this to children at such a young age. They don't have a voice of their own. They don't have the knowledge to be able to take care of themselves. And they don't have any of the life experience to know what they should do, not do, whatever it might be. I mean, it's honestly, it's criminal. I feel for you, and it's despicable putting children on these types of drugs when we know, and if a doctor chose to do the research, he or she could see that food dyes, gluten, dairy, food sensitivities, inflammation, emotional distress, anything within biochemistry, copper, toxicity, mercury, toxicity, aluminum, all of these things have been shown to cause ADD, any of these learning-based disabilities. And also, to not get a second opinion, I mean, that's tough when, a child's told that he's autistic at 13 months, and already start giving a child drugs. Really, when you look at it, we know that drugs, how powerful they are on an adult that's weighing 150 plus pounds. And then you look at someone that's not even 20 pounds. Now, again, I'm always amazed by the resilience of the human body. The things that I see people do to their bodies and put in their bodies it's unbelievable that the human body can still keep going, but it does. So here's the thing. I always have hope, and I always believe. I've started my own life when no one else believed except myself, my parents, and maybe just a few other people. That's it. But I believed I could get well. No one else believed I could get well, but all I needed was myself and my parents who were willing to, truck me from doctor to specialist. And I was willing to do whatever anybody said, and a lot of times it didn't work. For the most part, for 5 years, nothing worked. But I just always, again, I didn't believe. I went through some really dark times, but then I would believe again, and it would be enough just to keep pushing me forward. So here's the deal. In your stepson's case, what we need to do is, if we have 48 hours or if we have 72 hours, is get as much good nutrition into his body as possible. The problem is that when you're used to eating ice cream and sugars and all these processed foods, your tongue, your taste buds, your brain, it doesn't want bitter vegetables and these types of things. It's perverted children's taste buds. So again, my wife and I aren't perfect. We just try to do what's best for our children. But now if they go to a party and they eat fake chocolate, like a Hershey's Kiss, they would put that in their mouth and they would legitimately spit it out, and they've done it before. And it's not because, I'm their dad or anything like that. And they say, I can't have this. I shouldn't have that. They like sugar like the next kid. But it tastes so fake and so processed now that they've been eating natural fruit their whole life, that they've been eating vegetables. And I'm not going to say that my kids sit down to a big salad. That's crazy to say. My kids are 3 and 5 years old. But they eat broccoli every night, or they eat some type of vegetable every night. They have to. That's part of their dinner, right? They would much rather have cake. I mean, most kids would, right? That's kind of being human. We're hardwired for sugar, because sugar is survival. It's calories. It increases insulin. Insulin will increase our fat storage. It will increase our growth hormone levels. That's built into our genetics. It's not going to change. As far as I know, we haven't seen it change over the hundreds of thousands of years. We've been essentially eating how we've been eating, right? Not counting the processed food, which isn't too old, but still, we've been eating grains. People don't know this, but we've been eating grains for about 1 million years. So, anybody tells you that we've only been eating grains for the last 10,000 to maybe 90,000 years is not necessarily true, because we have signs that grains like quinoa, things like that, have been ground down in Latin American-based countries as well. So anyway, what am I trying to say? Let's make this long answer a little shorter. What I would do is this, if possible, I would run a hair tissue mineral analysis and an organic acids test. And if you can run that, you could show his mom that he's devoid of these minerals. And if you run the organic acids test, so that's hair, and the organic acids test is urine, if you can run that, you can show the vitamins that he's deficient on. So that maybe, just maybe, at least his mom will give him a multivitamin. right? Or maybe she'll start making smoothies for him. That would be fantastic. I mean, that's what I would look towards. I mean, I don't think she's going to go full, GAPS protocol or elimination diet or anything like that. But if she can cut out the ice cream and just do it once a week as a treat, if she can do oatmeal in the morning instead of Cheerios, if she can do some berries, even if they're not organic, like you do your best instead of that Cheerios for breakfast, that's what I recommend. I mean, that's really, I know you're in a tough position, but if you can do the, even just that half a scoop of the daily nutritional support powder, and maybe you can even buy it for her and then she can use it and your stepson can use it as well. Then they'd be getting that type of nutrition. Maybe they could use a little greens powder, right? That would be great as well. So just remember, Cara, keep in mind, I mean, I grew up on a processed food diet and I had a lot happen to me, but I'm still standing here today, better health than I ever have been. I got rid of the Kool-Aid and Little Debbie snacks diet. And I, eventually around age 20 or so, switched that over. So there's hope for everyone. I went on and on about that question. Let me see if we have time for one more today. Yeah, let's make this a nice quick question. Miles is asking, hello, I'm wondering what you could do to get rid of a cyst and make it dissolve or whatever. It is an embarrassing, annoying, painful place, my scrotum, and I'm willing to try basically anything at this point to avoid having it surgically removed. I've tried turmeric supplements, but can't take them because my stomach gets uneasy and I get heartburn. Maybe another recipe would work. I would like to try CBD oil if it might help. Any advice would be amazing. Thanks. Okay, so I've actually spoken about how to get rid of warts and cysts before. There was an interesting show where I talked about how using a banana peel, yes, a banana peel, actually helps to dissolve and remove warts within a 7 to 10 day period of time. And this is something I would never recommend. I mean, it sounds insane recommending it, but it works and it works over and over and over. So who am I to say that it doesn't work? You could also use a little apple cider vinegar. Now, a little apple cider vinegar, depends what type of cyst it is, can help as well. Colloidal silver spray can often help as well. And now, internally, I personally would recommend, of course, doing either the Dr. Ball Daily Protocol, which is the all the vitamins and minerals you need, plus the organic fruits and vegetables, plus the probiotic, just to make sure your body's getting everything it needs, immune system wise as well. If you can only do one, of course, I would just say the Dr. Ball Daily Nutritional Support Powder. If you could do a detox, that would certainly help. But on a daily basis, I would get more zinc in your body as well. So use the zinc, use it to boost your immune system. Certainly helpful. CBD oil, it will certainly reduce anxiety, but I don't see how that would help to reduce a cyst. Haven't seen that. The other thing that can help as well is if you're prone to cyst or prone to this protein-based growth, is to use something like proteolytic enzymes. And those are higher protease-based enzymes. So they're like digestive enzymes, but you're using them to actually go into your body and scavenger proteins. So there's something called serozymes, there's nattokinase, there's also the wobenzyme that I've spoken about before. So what I can do is I can simply link things up today in the show notes, if that would help. Be happy to do that. And you will have all of your answers right there. I will also look back and see if we can find that banana peel episode, and I will go back. And for anybody who has warts, you have to try this banana peel recipe. It sounds insane, but when something works, you don't always have to question why or know exactly how it works right now, except that it does work. So simply go to stevencabral.com/561 for all of today's show notes. Thank you everyone for tuning into another Cabral Concept. And as always, really enjoy being able to answer all of your questions, and be sure to tune in tomorrow where we answer another 6 or so of our community's questions. Take care. Did you know that the body really only becomes sick or imbalanced in only 2 ways? Over time, you become deficient in vital nutrients, and you also accumulate toxins internally and from the environment. As those nutrients diminish and you increase your total toxic load, your body then begins to show the first signs of dis-ease. It's actually quite predictable, and the good news is that if we know how you began to fill up that proverbial rain barrel, we also know how to empty it to begin the healing process. I was fortunate enough to learn this ancient healing process from my mentor after suffering from debilitating diseases for close to a decade. It was only when I began to implement these techniques did I finally overcome my illnesses and go on to live a life of energy and vitality that I now enjoy. I'd like to share with you now what I discovered after traveling all over the world and how to combine the best of ancient healing wisdom with state-of-the-art science. Allow me to teach you exactly how I've been able to help over 250,000 people to empty their rain barrel and begin to transform their body and lives into what they've always hoped they could be. To get your copy of the international bestseller, The Rain Barrel Effect, simply go to stephencabral.com/rainbarrel.